Well, good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing? Welcome to our Navigating Transitions seminar. My name's Ben. I'll be kind of the MC host today. Thank you so much for joining. So we're going to get started in just a minute, but quickly, a couple of housekeeping items. Format today is very simple, right? We'll have about an hour where Kendall will be giving us some teaching, some lecture, and then we'll take a short break. We can enjoy refreshments and maybe mingle, network a little bit, and then in the second hour, there will be Q&A. So please be thinking about questions you might have. If you are old school and you want to use paper and pen, we have those in the back, so please avail yourself. Today, the event's being hosted actually by the Embassy, which is actually a Christian community. We have services Thursday evenings, and so if you're interested in just meeting more people, more foreigners, exploring faith, we would love to have you there. 7:15 Thursday evenings. We also have Sunday morning services. So we'll share a little bit of info in the WeChat group. I promise not to spam you, but just for people who are interested. So without further ado, I would like to share a little bit about our speaker and then turn it over to her. So Kendall Tyson is an engaging licensed professional counselor and professional school counselor, impassioned by assisting clients to lead more authentic and fulfilling lives. She's worked in various settings, from community mental health facilities, group homes, domestic and international schools, and private practice. Kendall's qualified to assist clients with a number of presenting issues, and some that she specializes in are working with adolescent and collegiate students, anxiety, depression, and trauma. Kendall earned her Master's of Education with specialization in school counseling from Sam Houston State University, graduating with honors, and she earned her bachelor's degree at the University of Texas at Austin in 2005. Ms. Tyson believes that clients possess all of the necessary tools to effect positive change, for they're experts in their lives, and they lead the therapeutic process. She aims to help facilitate that process of illumination, self-discovery, and goal setting with empathy and collaboration. She's also passionate about reducing the stigma surrounding mental health and helping others live their lives with power and purpose. Kendall has lived and worked for the last 3 years in Beijing, and she states that helping others was my passion long before it ever became my career. I'm determined to make a lasting impact in the lives of others and live a fulfilled life of integrity, growth, and resilience. So would you please join me in welcoming Kendall Tyson?
Okay. So I really appreciate everyone for coming out. I am Kendall. Thank you for reading my bio. I really appreciate it. I don't see my friend Nakia, but I'm grateful. She's coming? Okay. I have to give credit where credit's due. I wouldn't be here without her being so gracious and mentioning me to people that I'm not aware of. So I'm grateful for her opportunity. And thank you all for, just taking time to come spend these next 2 hours in fellowship, talking with each other, listening, and hopefully being able to be illuminated about some things about yourself. So these the workshops that I do tend to be pretty informative and informal. This is not a formal thing. I want you to get comfortable. Sometimes when we're talking about like things that are very near and dear to our heart, we kind of clench up and want to keep things very close to our chest. I am not going to require that you share what you're not comfortable with. But the whole point of being here is kind of looking within yourselves and trying to figure out, how do you take these transitions? How do you take the things that are happening in your life and allow them to work for you and work through change? So we'll get started. I wish I had a clicker. No, go for it. All right, so I really believe in setting intentions. So what I would like for you to do is kind of just get comfortable in your space. What I want you to do, we're going to do like a really quick breathing exercise just to kind of calm the nerves. I've done it already. I've had a lot of nervous, excited energy because I really love doing these kinds of things. So I want you to get comfortable in your chair, plant your feet on the ground, both feet on the ground. I want you to sit up but not rigid, let your shoulders slink, get comfortable. And we're just gonna do a few deep breaths. What you're gonna do is, you can sit back in your chair. You don't have to sit up, just get comfortable. That's what I want you to do. You can close your eyes if you want, you don't have to. but I want you to, you're gonna inhale through your nose for a count of 5, a deep belly breath. You're gonna hold it, and then you're gonna exhale out of your mouth like you're blowing into a straw for 6 seconds. And I want you to do that 3 times. So inhale, hold, exhale. You don't have to strain, just let it flow. Relax your shoulders. Inhale again through your nose. Hold it. Exhale. One more time. A deep inhale. Hold. And exhale. Hopefully you feel a calmness that's come over you. And what I'd like you to do is I just want you to ask yourself this question. What do I seek to get from today's workshop? Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. And I just want you to kind of tune into your body. How are you feeling? You don't have to state it verbally. How are you feeling? Are you feeling ready? Are you feeling open? Are you calmer? Just ask yourself. And I want you to ask yourself, what do you seek to gain from today's workshop? What do you want to hear? What do you need to hear? So we can go to the next slide. So I used to be an English teacher. And that's why I asked for everyone to bring something to write with and on. If you don't have it, you're not penalized by any means. But we definitely have paper and stuff provided for you, because there's no way that I could do this without you actually having to practice the things that work. And so what you just did was doing some breathing to kind of help engage your parasympathetic nervous system or your calming center, to get you kind of settled in the space. You know, most of us are strangers, but hopefully we won't be after today. But this is kind of helping you to just get calm, get focused, get centered, and again, set intentions. So the objectives for, and if I talk too fast, I'm from Texas. Ben tried to give me a microphone. I was like, oh, I don't need that. I'm a former cheerleader. Shout out, mother. I'm like her personified. My voice carries. If I talk too fast, you know, just do a little church finger. You know, let me know, because I get really excited because I'm really passionate about the stuff that I'm talking about. So, what I intend to do today is help you to identify like the various types of transitions that we endure when we go through life. There's a really good book that Serene actually recommended. It's called Transitions by Ben Whitmore. No, God, not Ben Whitmore. This is Ben Whitmore. William Bridges. William Bridges.
I wish it was by Ben Whitmore.
Well, you might write another one, who knows? So it has led a lot of the work that I'm going to present today. Also, identifying factors, things that happen that can exacerbate the challenging effects of transition. We know that transitions are not easy, but they are purposeful. So what I want you to do as we go through this process today is trying to identify what has been the purpose in the transitions that I've either gone through, that I'm currently in, or that I could be entering into. Because it's kind of like seasons of change. You're either coming out of something, you're currently experiencing something, or you're on your way into something. That's just the cycle of the nature of life. I also want to expound upon the importance of mental health. Mental health is as equitably as important as your physical health. And your mental health can help you to thrive throughout life, or it can provide some difficult barriers for you to experience the type of living that you want to experience. And then lastly, can't talk about all these problems. I have to provide ways in which for you to be an advocate for yourself in a mental space and a physical space. So I'm going to provide you with strategies to monitor, prioritize your mental health as you are experiencing seasons of change. Is everybody with me on that? Are you up for the learning? Obviously you're here. So. Yes. All right, so why transitions? Before we even get started, what I want you to write down, and whatever you chose to bring, is what's the transition that you're currently experiencing? Ooh, I heard the sighs. So again, I am not going to require that you read any of this to anyone. If you would like to share, we'll definitely have time for that. But I just want you to identify, like, what is the transition that I'm in right now? Doesn't have to be something huge. It could be small. I know for sure that you'll be able to identify some before the end of today. You know, so why are we talking about transitions? Well, I'll definitely say, so whenever you're done writing, you know, you can put your pen down whenever you're ready. But we all, I would like to say, have gone through, so I'll modify that by saying that we're currently all still experiencing a really big collective trauma of COVID, right? And COVID has caused us to have to be able to endure lots of transitions at one time. Be they here in Beijing, be they back in our respective home countries, be they with relationships with people that we've had. That, I think, is one of the major reasons that I think this presentation is so timely, is that we're all still existing, hopefully thriving more and better, in a season of transition with, you know, COVID. And another reason is that as long as we're living, we're going to be going through transition. That's just a part of it. It's not something that you can escape. It's something you can deny, but we'll talk about the role that denial has in experiencing health and wealth, mental health. And when I say wealth, I don't necessarily mean money. Physical health, things of that nature. With the role of denial, the role of acceptance when it comes to managing transitions. Furthermore, we all go through them. Everyone experiences them. We've had graduations, we've had weddings. Who's moved in the last 3 months? Right. That's a transition. Has anyone graduated? Has anyone got married? Engaged? Is anyone happy? That's good, because in order to be happy, you've probably had to come out of a dark place, right? So you've had to make a decision to transition from one mental state, one state of being to another. Another one is that transitions help us grow. They help us learn about ourselves. And if you can successfully manage the things that happen in your life, you will notice that you're able to bear the storms as they come. You'll notice that you have a deeper level of self-awareness. And again, it's not something that we can escape. Transitions are here to stay. Some of us are going through some very serious ones right now. Some of us have come out of them, and some of us are ushering ourselves into transitions that either we are expecting or that maybe we don't know about. And we're gonna kind of, what we call in the therapy world, psychoeducation, gonna give you some learning, some information about what these different transitions can look like. And the most important thing is to help you with awareness. It's very difficult to work through something when you are unsure of it or unaware of it. But when you're able to lift the veil and you have a heightened level of awareness, you kind of know what to look for, you know ways in which to better manage yourself as you go through these things, it really does help you in a mental health space to be able to deal with the trajectory that life is going to take you through. Okay? Any questions so far? So why transitions? We can go ahead. Oh, there was one point. I probably put my glasses on. But one of the most important things about why transitions is to help you to be able to reclaim the power that you don't think you have to manage the things that happen. A lot of times, well, I'll speak for myself, is things happen that I might not necessarily like, so I really feel enslaved to my situation. It's very hard for me to let go of control of things. I'm just gonna admit that. But when you are aware of the power that you possess just by making the decision to see things differently, attend to things differently, take care of yourself, ask for help, let things go, it makes being able to deal with what life has to have greater faith, if that's what, works for you. It makes having to deal with the things that will happen easier. It's not gonna take it away, but it makes it more manageable. So, what are they? Transition, so the dictionary states that a transition is a process or a period of changing from one state or condition to another. It's change. It's going from one state to the next state. You had to transition to get here. You transition from home, in your DD here, or walking. You transitioned out of your comfortable clothes to your more, comfortable clothes. I guess not me. But additionally, it's going to be a natural process of, so this is from William Bridges' book, and I'm trying to see this so that I don't get it wrong. There are some things I will read verbatim, but it's a natural process of disorientation and reorientation, marking the turning point and a point of growth. Transitions equal growth. Please write that down. Transitions equal growth.
What was the name of that book again?
Transitions by William Bridges.
Oh,
Yeah, I actually have a list of book suggestions for you when we're finished. But I want you to think about the transition, the examples that you just wrote down. If you haven't written anyone down, you got some time. But I want you to think about the whole process of it. When we talk about disorientation and reorientation, how were you at the beginning of that particular transition? How were you mentally, physically, emotionally? Were you fighting against it? Was it something that you were okay with? Or, I'll give you a better example. We all have this in common, or most of us have this in common. We moved to Beijing. We moved to China. If you're a Beijing local, that's great. There's still been different transitions that you've experienced, right? So I want you to think about, how was it right up until you made this transition? What decision process did you have to go through to make the decision to, all right, I'm moving to China? Was that destabilizing? Did you notice any rifts in relationships? Did you notice that you were having certain feelings about moving to a new country? Or was it just smooth sailing? I know for me it wasn't. There were dissenters. You sure you want to move to China? You sure you want to move all the way across the world? Why are you giving up this good job that you have for moving to a place that you know nothing about? Aren't you afraid? You sure that's the right thing you want to do? And how does that feel? How does that feel when you have the naysayers that cloud your judgment, make your decision difficult, make you second guess yourself, make you feel as if you're not making good decisions, right? That can feel disorienting, right? It can make you feel a little bit destabilized, like, am I doing the right thing? But what happens as you continue through the process? I know what happened for me is, as soon as I got on the plane, I felt a level of peace. I was like, oh, I know I'm doing the right thing. If you look at patterns in your life, you'll notice that things tend to happen in cycles, and patterns happen when change happens in your life, right? We are patternistic creatures. We do things that make sense, and when things make sense, we tend to repeat these specific behaviors, and that's not always a good thing, right? The decisions aren't always good, but if you notice, there are lots of patterns that happen. I noticed some patterns in my life when it comes to transitions, for sure, especially with jobs. We'll talk about that later. But it's a pattern, it's a time of disorientation to reorientation. And I want you to think about, when you finally made the move here, how did you then feel a level of reorientation? What were some things that happened to make you feel stabilized and calm and sure? What did you have to do? Who did you connect with? What support did you have? What resources did you reach out to? These are all things that are going to help you get through maybe the transition that you're currently in, or the one that you are going to be coming into, or, you know, whatever you just came out of, it's all a learning process, right? And it's how do we extend the learning to the rest of our lives. So I just had you to write that down. What are some life transitions that you've experienced recently? And in addition to that, I want you to write down the transition that has been the most impactful recently. Just briefly describe, what has been the most impactful transition that I've recently gone through? Because that's going to be an example that I want you to refer back to throughout the presentation. What's been the most impactful? There's no right or wrong answer. Don't judge yourself in your head. Silence the critic. If it's telling you, oh, that's not good enough, yes it is. No right or wrong. Remember in my bio, you are the expert in your life. Yeah. We can go to the next one. So, as you're writing that, whenever it's a natural pause for you, that's great. Can we get it on here? That just helps me to track where I am. So I wanted to kind of discuss, there are 4 types of transitions as I was doing this research that I found. And the first transition is going to be the anticipated transition. And as soon as my slide comes up.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Our internet is not the most reliable.
That's okay.
And it's using airplane.
That's what happens.
Sorry.
Right? No, it's fine. So when you hear the word anticipated, what does that mean to you? Anxious. Okay. So write down the associations that you have when I say anticipated transition. Okay, something that you definitely want. There's some anxiety, some expectation, preparation. Is there any fear?
Yeah.
Fear.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
There's no right or wrong here.
But can you anticipate something that you think, oh, that's gonna happen sooner or later, and it's gonna be something negative, and you're kind of building up fear for that?
Of course, because that is the thing that gets us in the worry space. The what if, that anxious brain that's trying to protect us from the things that we don't know that are about to happen. So we kind of launch ourselves forward in the future as a way to calm ourselves down now. And the challenge is that we have no control over that, right? The only thing that we have control over is what we presently experience. So it's learning how, and this is going to be a part of the presentation, is learning how to choose your thinking that kind of helps you stay rooted in the present, that doesn't propel you so far in the future, because that is going to breed anxiety, it can potentially bring depression, and it brings about that fear that keeps you stuck. Because a lot of times we get in our own way, especially if it's something that we know is going to happen, something that's a part of the process that we're in. It is anticipated, so it's an expectation for it to arrive. But we don't always want the anticipated to happen, right? So it's how do you accept that this is just a part of my process and my journey? It's kind of like when every year school ends and we live in a transient community. People are gonna leave. That's anticipated. But it still brings about a level of fear and discomfort. I think that might have been one of the questions. Just feelings of sadness, but it could also be happy. You know, it could be a time of relief, because maybe you're leaving something for something better. There's so many emotions that are wrapped up into the anticipated transition. It's just, which do you choose? And I'm getting way ahead of myself, but you kind of have to choose the place that you want to exist in. That's why I said to help empower you as you go through this. We are not tethered to, it's kind of like the cart and the horse. We're not the cart in our situation. Yeah, certain things are going to happen. We're the horse. We can lead the direction of how we respond to things when we accept them, when we have a full understanding of, first off, who we are and the power that we possess. So, I hope I answered that question in a whole lot of words.
Yeah,
But,
no, that's good.
oh, there it is. Okay. So the anticipated transitions, you all were right on track. It's the ones that you expect to occur. When you think about, like I just said, one of the examples I gave is people are going to move. They're gonna go back home. We don't know necessarily when that always happens, but we know it will happen, even in our lives, right? Additionally, it's a planned part of the natural life cycle. We know there are gonna be births, we know there are gonna be deaths, right? We know people are gonna move, we know people are gonna get jobs, we know that there might be transitions in jobs, things of that nature. And this is the part, if we can get it up there, that'd be great. This is I'm gonna look back because there are certain things that I don't want to miss, but it's the timing of the anticipated transaction or transition that can bring about the potential for learning. So when things that we know are gonna happen, when we know the time, it kind of helps ease the fear and the anxiety that we have about that particular transition. But when we're not aware of when it's gonna happen, that brings about what kinds of emotions? Fear, uncertainty. Who likes uncertainty? Exactly, we all have that in common. Who likes to know it's happening now? I know it, I know what to expect, I know what it looks like, I know what to get out of it. Right, we need that, we believe that we need that level of certainty, and I need to see it to believe it in order to be able to get through things. But, you know, with a show of hands, how often does that happen? How likely is that to be the way situations work out? No. I mean, if we had magic pills, I'd definitely be rich if I could give that out. Exactly. So, if the transition occurs close to when you expect it to happen, that quells the negative emotion, right? But if it happens outside of the realm of when you have this expected thing in your head, it brings about all the stuff that we just said. I'm worried now because it didn't happen on my timeline. And I'm telling y'all, as I say this stuff to you, my friends here know, this is literally me talking to myself as well. So I'm not the kind of therapist or professional that's gonna tell you one thing that I haven't experienced, because literally all the stuff that I'm talking about is things that I go through on a daily basis too. So we're all in the same boat. So like having kids, you know, getting a new job, moving away. Yeah, we can go through that. So I want you to write down what have been some of the anticipated transitions that you've recently experienced or that you're about to experience. What are some of your anticipated transitions? You knew that was going to happen? So was it anticipated? Okay, so was it anticipated? Okay, so maybe that was an unanticipated. All right. So the difference with that is these are the things that we don't expect to happen. Thank you. These are the transitions. I mean, this is technology, right? It's how do you roll with it and not be completely overwhelmed with emotion. These are the transitions that happen that we don't expect to occur. So I want you to think back over your last year. What's an unanticipated transition that's happened in your life? I'll give everybody one. COVID. Right. That is something that we did not anticipate and that we are still living through. It has literally upended how we live life, how we socialize, where we can work, where we cannot work, if we can see our family. You know, so the thing about the unanticipated transitions is it brings up a lot of fear. I think that when you think of transitions, fear is always somewhere embedded in that. But when you think about fear, what comes to mind for you? Is fear always a bad thing? Okay, let's be honest. That's fair. That's fair. Because we all have different experiences, right? Nobody in here has experienced the same thing when it comes to being afraid of something. So fear can be all bad for some people, but fear can also be what?
For me, you're given an opportunity to actually do something about it.
Okay, so you have an opportunity to do something. You said it could be productive. And what I noticed, I don't know if anyone else noticed, is that those are all three different decisions. What you decide to do with that fear is completely up to you. So as you manage these unanticipated transitions, it's again asking yourself, which path do I choose to take? So one thing that you will hopefully get from this is that, again, you are empowered to manage the transition in a manner that you see fit and that is beneficial to you. Nobody else is in charge of that. It's all you. Just like how you manage your mental health as you go through these transitions. If you choose to seek support or not, that's a you thing. And one of the things that stops us from doing that is stigma. Please write that word. Stigma. Stigma. Does that have a positive connotation? This is my English teacher. No, it doesn't. Stigma is the very thing that keeps us tethered to our problem. But I am giving you permission today to cut those binds, reclaim your power, reclaim your time, and break the stigma. So we can go to the next slide. Non-event transitions. Every transition isn't necessarily going to be this big thing that happens in your life. There are some that just literally occur. And those can be that we don't expect to occur. Well, we expect them to occur, but they don't. I think these are the ones that cause the most angst. The ones that we really want. We really want. Ooh, I want that job. And it doesn't happen. Ooh, I'm ready to get married. And my friends know. And it just hadn't happened yet, right? Ooh, I am ready to start this business. But COVID, right? I'm ready to go back to school. But COVID. You know, so it's like we want these things to happen, but there's a roadblock. So you have a decision. What do I do? Now that the path that I thought I was going to take, there's something in my way. So how do I regroup? How do I recalibrate? How do I reclaim the actual power that I have? Because if one door closes, who can finish that statement? We already know that, right? There are 26 letters in the alphabet. If A does not work out, you have so many others that you can, attend to. So it can't be, oh, well, I don't know what to do next. That's valid. But not knowing what to do and not doing anything are very different. So how do you manage that? How do you get beyond the fear of not knowing what to do and using that as a learning opportunity to identify your next opportunity? And when you do these things, when you don't react out of the fear, you are literally, neuroplasticity says, you're literally changing your brain. You're forming new connections when you can not be overwhelmed and succumb to the negative emotions that you experience, but responding in a way that's more beneficial, honest, authentic, and less triggering. It's changing your brain with every decision that you make. Instead of falling prey to the habitual ways of managing non-event transitions. So I want you to write, what has been a non-event obviously I like to write, folks, that's part of it. You're journaling right now without even knowing that you do it, and it's one of the most effective evidence-based therapeutic strategies that we use with clients. So right now y'all are you're all my little therapy room, right? Thank you for being willing to do this. So write down, what would have been or what has been a non-event transition or some non-event transitions that I'd like to deal with and process. I have a few. This right here is what we call common humanity. When we think of self-compassion, we have self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness. This right here is an example of common humanity that we all experience very similar things. We're all going through something, and it makes each one of us unique, but we also are able to support and help one another through these situations. So, this is, of course, yes, ma'am.
Sorry, for like the non-event transition, could it be like my roommate, like who I actually really depended on, she just moved out and like she just moved to Shanghai. But like, so now it's not my decision, but it's affecting me.
Okay, I would definitely say that's probably more, because with the non-event, it's something that you do want to happen. It doesn't sound like you wanted her to move. and I think that's good, right? I'm sure we've all had roommates that we have wanted to move.
Yeah.
That sounds more kind of like the unanticipated. right? The thing that we don't necessarily we don't know if it's about to happen, and then it does. That's actually next. So, but with this one, with the non-event, this is the one where you get the most learning, because you really have to, how do I deal with the situation that I want? It is in my heart. You know, I think about it all the time. I got all these plans. I planned how I'm gonna spend this money in my head, and then I don't get it. That's where expectation is really high. And then what? Nothing. How do you manage that? How do you manage those feelings of failure? How do you manage getting up again when you thought this dream was going to materialize, and then it doesn't, or not right now? Go for it. Go for it. Go. This is what it's about. Go for it.
So you just kind of have to accept that you don't know shit about it.
Acceptance. Who's good at that?
Yeah.
I cannot tell that lie. Go for it.
I'm a little confused by what is the difference between unanticipated event and non-event.
Okay, so we haven't got to the unanticipated, but the non-event is the one that you do want, and it doesn't happen.
Oh.
Like if you expect to get married by time you're 30, but you're 42.
Or 39. And it hadn't happened yet. Could have happened, thank God it didn't. Right?
You expect your roommate to move in with you, but then she moves in with somebody else.
Right. Or, who else has an example of a non-event transition?
Even just going home and service somewhere.
Ooh, yeah. So I'm going to say this. Thank you for sharing now and whenever you choose to. And so this can, the things we talk about can be really triggering, which is okay. If you feel emotion, feel it, right? There is no judgment in this space. If you want to talk to me after this is over, we can do that. But one thing I definitely want you to give yourself, I'm giving you permission, right? Feel your feelings. If you feel like the tears welling up, don't stop them. They probably need to happen. If you feel like there's stuff that's being, brought up for you, write it down. Maybe that's something that you want to talk about later, or journal about, or just reach out to that person. But what I don't want you to do is stifle whatever is happening for you. This is about liberation, learning how to navigate these transitions that we experience. And that in itself, giving yourself the permission to feel how you feel, is a transition. That right there is a transition. So Emer, thank you for that one. That's one of the ones right now that's really hitting home for everybody is we miss our families. And maybe we miss our chosen families, not necessarily our families of birth, right? But COVID and the precautions that are being taken, it's very much a double-edged sword. Yes, we are happy that the government is taking things seriously, because I'm from Texas. They're not. And if you only knew the levels of anxiety that I've had the last year, you would be amazed at the fact that I'm standing up here right now. And my friends definitely can attest to it's been difficult, right? So that's a non-event transition that I think collectively as a community that we can figure out ways to support each other through. Because this one is difficult and it's not stopping right now. And the problem is we don't know in the foreseeable future when that will happen. Like, when will it come to an end? So it's learning as you are hopefully thriving through this process that you have the appropriate support, that you feel how you feel, that you're able to talk openly about the things that are coming up for you, and that you have that support system. That's one of the things I definitely want you to be able to identify before you walk out this door today is who can I reach out to for support when life is just getting very difficult. Because I don't want you to think that you're alone with this process, because you're not. So there are going to be 4 types of non-event transitions. We have the personal non-event. That's going to be the one that we want to occur again, but it doesn't happen. The ripple event, someone close to us is not having their expectation met, and we as people that love them, we're dealing with the side effects, right? Maybe they're emotional outbursts, or they've withdrawn, or they're reaching out a whole lot more because they're lonely. And we have to learn how to manage our emotions about what's happening for them, and that's where boundary setting, either doing it healthy or not at all, comes into play. So then we have the resultant non-events. you're indirectly experienced by someone else, but so you are dealing indirectly with the outcome of somebody else's decision. COVID. I am from Texas. Just the simple art of wearing a mask can save a life. But there are people, and this is not political.
It's okay to monetize it.
I mean, you know, because some people, with what information they have, are choosing not to do something that's going to help save the lives of other people. That's a resultant non-event. There are others that are getting sick because someone doesn't want to follow the science or make a decision that's based in empathy that's going to help others. We have kids going back to school. Ripple non-events. Then we have delayed non-events. Things that have not occurred yet, but hopefully they're on the way, right? It's the delay. This is something someone used to always tell me, delay is not denial. I should probably write that down for myself. If you need it, write it down. Delay is not denial. It feels like it. You know, we have this timetable. I am very time conscious with my life, right? My mom would always tell me, just stop. Don't worry so much about when it happens. It'll happen. That's difficult for me, right? And that's where my faith is challenged a lot. Like, it's happened for everybody else. And this is a multitude of things. And I'll tell you this, the more that we externalize our focus when it comes to transitions, the harder it is to deal with our own personal ones. It's very much an internal thing that we have to be able to work through. So then we have sleeper transitions, and these are the ones that occur gradually over time, and we're not necessarily aware of it. Graduating, getting degrees, learning. What are some sleeper transitions that maybe you've experienced? These are not the overt transitions. These are the ones these are the baby steps. Through consistent change and action, they're happening. And then one day it's like, ooh, that happened. So I want you to think about, what are some sleeper transitions that are happening in your life or that maybe have occurred?
I feel like a lot of leadership roles are that way. Like
Okay.
you come in and you're like just there learning, and then like over like a year or two you realize that everyone's asking you instead of there's nobody for you to ask for. Like you don't go to someone else for advice, everyone else is coming to you.
Oh, so
you become a senior
So you are
in your
you are
social-
transitioning into the leader
Yeah.
without the title.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a sleeper transition. For those who are,
Can healing be a sleeper transition?
I don't know,
When
can
you're
it?
like healing and the time you don't realize it.
Can
you
it?
look up and you're like, oh.
sounds like it to me.
Aging.
Aging. Is that a positive or negative one, or does that one depend on the lens that you choose to put yourself through, right? We have so many different classes in here, mine are right here. Different perspectives, right? The perspective is going to determine how you handle your transition. Please write that down. I'm gonna have to get notes from somebody because these are like
Say
Instagram
that one more
posts.
time.
Your perspective is gonna determine how you manage your transition. How you see it will determine how you go through it.
So if you have goals, I would say planning, and like this section of planning, and then action.
For sure. That's definitely part of the transition, if you choose it to be. That means that you're taking direct action on making something happen. And probably it's something that's anticipated. You know, this is something that I'm working toward, but throughout that whole process, you'll experience the anticipated, the unanticipated, the sleeper, like they literally all exist, right? So definitely for sure. We can go to the next one. I really appreciate you all taking whatever notes are working for you. So as an educator, it's really important that we take brain breaks. So we're gonna take a little 2-minute brain break because our attention span is about 25-30 minutes, and obviously I like to talk. So we got 2 minutes. I'm giving you a structured choice. You can either stretch, sit and stretch, stand up and stretch. You can do some deep breathing, or you can stand up and introduce yourself to someone that you don't know. Those are your choices. So you can't just sit there and do nothing. You gotta be one of the three.
Legs up.
Hey, good to didn't know you actually coming. Okay, so is that going on?
I think that'd be smartest. Otherwise, like what I did just now was like one of the seemed like you were
Okay.
in this other
No. This is what happens. This is what happens. Thank you. All right. You have 25 seconds.
I did a little manifestation.
Eight seconds. I'm gonna start right on time. All right. How are y'all feeling after the brain break? The energy has shifted, I noticed. What do you notice was the point of the brain break? How do you think it helped?
To think about something else.
All right, think about something else, because it was getting a little heavy, which is okay. What else? What do you notice? What did you get the opportunity to do?
To share with each other.
Okay.
Think about the topic.
Okay, share, meet some people, right? I feel a deeper sense of calm and connection. That's kind of like the energy that I'm picking up right now. So this is a strategy. We're all professionals in here. Taking frequent brain breaks helps you to reconnect to the task that you're supposed to be trying to engage in doing, instead of just barreling right through it. This helps you to be a bit more productive. So we will have one more, but it'll be different. So thank you for engaging me. All right, moving forward. So we have 3 natural phases of transition, and this is going to directly come out of the book by William Bridges. And the first is going to be, oh, you're fine. This is a graphic that comes out of the book, which I really love because it has so many emotions, and I'm an emotional person, right? So you're going to have your ending. You'll have your, what it says here is transition zone, but it's also titled the neutral zone. But then you have your new beginning. So think about the transition that you wrote down, the example that you wrote down. I want you to think about, what did the ending look like?
I'm actually feeling the opposite.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm starting something new, but I don't know, so much confusion, frustration. I wanted it so bad, but now I feel it's just too costly.
So identifying the cost benefit.
Initially, I thought it would be fulfilling, which it is, but it's just too much to leave behind.
Thank you for sharing that. What we have to understand is that each decision does have a benefit, but there might be something that we have to sacrifice, right? And when we are entering into new phases of our lives, we have to give up something to do that. I really appreciate your bravery right now. I know it's not easy. I know it's difficult. And we're all in, again, seasons of change. And the one thing that I hope you notice on this graphic is that there are different levels of emotion that accompany each phase. And most of them, if not all of them, are not good.
I just have a question, like, could it be just perceived phase? Because sometimes, especially when I go through grief, it feels like
I'm 2 steps forward, or 1 step forward, 2 steps backward? Or could that be, am I in the actual phase or perceived transition phase?
That's something I think you have. I'm not the expert on that. You kind of got to look at your transition and because we're going to go more into each one and identify where do I fit most at this point. Because every transition is going to have 3 parts: your ending, your neutral, and your new beginning. We can go to the next slide because it's kind of like teaching. You begin with the end in mind. In order to go into a transition phase, something has to stop.
Can you
So,
go back and forth?
oh, for sure. Especially when you don't know what you want to do. Right? Oh, when we are like, okay, I know I want this. Oh, but I cannot give this up. And then you're stuck. That brings about a lot of uncertainty, guilt, shame. But when you're ready to make a clean cut and move into a new phase, those windows of opportunity will present themselves. But as I've said before, you have to decide that you are ready to move forward. And that does begin with something ending. I mean, I think we've all heard this quote, every ending is a beginning to something else. I know I said that all wrong. Right. Each ending is a new beginning to something. So this is, I love this quote. What we call the beginning is often the end, and to make an end is to make a beginning. The end is where we start from. Write that down. The end is where we start from. We don't wake up one day and it's like, oh, there's something new. Well, yeah, technically. But you've had to walk away from something, you've had to cut ties to something, you've had to renew your mind about something, you've had to let something go in order to step into a new season.
But when you say that you don't know what to do, it's also a transition, like, or you need to clarify, like, I just want to go there or decide whatever if you are not real clear about what you want to do.
So I'm wondering, is there always going to be 100% certainty when you are making a decision in this world? Sometimes you kind of have to have faith, trust the process. Oh, and as I say these things, I'm like screaming in my own head, right? But you've made the decision that this is what I want, so I have to take some sort of action. Be it small, be it big. If I'm fully sure or not sure, you have to decide. It's not going to just happen.
Because if you don't decide if even if it's a small act, it's not the first step, it's not the transition.
It's not. You're waffling, right? You can go back and forth for however long you want to, but if you're really seeking some sort of change, there has to be a definitive decision made, and you move forward in that. And that doesn't mean that you won't necessarily regret or feel sadness. All of that's a part of the process. There are so many emotions that come up when you decide to end something that you thought, oh, I just knew this was going to work, and it doesn't. That's that non-event transition. Remember, that's the most difficult, the one that brings up all these feelings, but that's the one that you grow the most from, if you're open to it. And I think that's the transition that you really have to manage your mental health by, for sure.
So how do you know when you've grown enough from that non-event?
I
For
wonder-
example, you waited, you've asked the universe, you've asked God, send this. It comes, it doesn't end the way you want it to, or the way you thought it would have. And you're like, okay, there should be something I'm learning here. I'm supposed to be getting something, but God knows what you're supposed to get. And when do you give up waiting to get that lesson from that situation?
I don't necessarily know if I have there's not a correct or non-correct answer to that question, but I would definitely say your first statement was, how do you know you've grown through it? When you're not as triggered by the thing, there's some growth that is happening. When you're no longer, or I'm not even gonna say no longer, because we're not looking for the absence of emotion. We're looking for, how do you manage the emotion in a more healthier manner? How do you not completely succumb to the situation maybe as you had before? That lets you know that you've either made peace with something, you figured out a different way to manage it, you have a higher level of self-awareness, and that helps to ease you through the part that you're still uncertain about, right? I don't know if that completely answered your question, but that is definitely part of what we're gonna get into. That's
Okay.
that's the neutral zone. That's the why do I have to wait so long? When I don't know what I've been wanting. Where is it? It hasn't materialized. I'm worried. I'm uncertain. I keep ruminating about this thing and I'm depressed. I'm anxious. I'm withdrawing. What do I do then? We're getting there. But thank you for that question. So when it comes to endings, we take them very seriously because they feel final. Oh, that's over. What do I do now? But it's not. It's a step. It's a step on the way to the next part of your journey, right? So when something ends, again, you are choosing. Do I see this as something and it's done? Or do I see it as this phase is complete, but it's ushering me into this new door that's going to help me to continue through my process and grow? And a lot of that is going to be choosing your thinking. A lot of that is going to be being aware of the feelings and the emotions that are coming up for you. This is the psychological aspect. And not ruminating in that negative thought process constantly. It's learning how to care for yourself through this process. And a lot of that is going to be accepting how you feel without judgment. Please write that down. I choose to accept how I feel without judgment. I choose to accept how I feel without judgment. If you got to do a voice note on your phone, go for it.
I don't want to lie to myself.
Well, I don't know if it's a lie or maybe you just haven't accepted it yet. Because listen, I get in my own way all the time. We get in our own ways. We stop a lot of our own growth because we won't let go. We won't end that thing that's going to help us to move to the next phase, right?
What happens if it's not yourself, your judgment on yourself, but you are afraid of someone else's judgment, especially like a close friend or partner?
Well, boundaries. Boundaries for one, and trusting yourself. And knowing that no one else's opinion is more important than your own. Theirs is just an opinion, that's not a fact for you. Right? And it's knowing how to gracefully and with empathy let people know that I really love you and I appreciate you. However, your perspective is causing me some angst. So it's learning how to have honest conversations, which a lot of people are afraid to do. A lot of people are afraid to set boundaries because they feel like, ooh, that means I'm mean. No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Boundaries are an act of self-preservation. Audre Lorde. Boundaries are the thing that's going to help protect you and keep you in a healthy space. There's this thing that people say, givers have to know their limits because takers don't have any.
Ooh.
So you have to know the boundary that's going to help preserve you from the people that are siphoning off that energy that helps you to be more of your best self.
How do you deal with feelings of guilt or floating expectation? After you go through expect the transition because of the decision you made, you see these effects on how their mindset and their mental health, but you don't know how to respond for your own health as well. How do you go through that, knowing that you're both of them are both?
So first, I would definitely say reframing the fact that you're not the cause. You made a decision for yourself that other people have to respond to. And you're not responsible for their response. If you're doing something for yourself, it not only does affect us, but it does affect the people in our lives. We are not in charge of how people feel about the things that we have to do for ourselves. And sometimes we do have a lot of misplaced guilt because they're feeling bad and we tell ourselves, I made them feel bad. And it's very difficult to reconceptualize. We have no control over how other people feel. We have to own the decisions that we make and the feelings that we have and work through that process. And if need be there to support the other people in our lives. But they have to go through their own process of feeling and understanding and letting go if you're doing something that's beneficial for yourself or if you're not. So they're dealing with the unintended consequences of a ripple effect from a decision that you made. But when we sometimes have families that rely very heavily on each other, and maybe in an enmeshed manner, it can feel very difficult to make decisions that are separate for ourselves that are good, and that's knowing that it's okay, first of all, and you own your decision, and you own the feelings that you have about that decision. And again, you are not responsible for the behaviors and actions of other people. That's a boundary that's important to be able to implement. I wouldn't even say as an adult, but just as a person, I can't control what other people decide to do or how they choose to work through whatever is distressing to them. So what we can do is listen, we can offer support, and we can continue to share why maybe you've made a decision that you've made, and know that that's okay. The biggest thing is not to deny how you feel, and to accept the stuff that comes up for you, and to, when there's a lot of worry, make a plan about it, instead of being stuck in that guilt. But also understanding that you do have to make difficult decisions for yourself. Everybody's not gonna like it. That's boundary setting. It sounds so crass when you're used to being that person that picks up the slack and the things that don't work out for other people, when that's your identity, and it's difficult to separate yourself and do what's best for you. That's hard, but it's necessary. Boundaries. There's a book by John Townsend. It's called Boundaries. Woo, there it is. I'm just shouting out all these books. It's really good. And for individuals that struggle with that guilt of, but I gotta be there. When my identity is tied up, I'm the fixer. I'm the one that fixes everybody's problems because I don't want to deal with my own. It's so much easier for me to assist you because I'm so afraid of managing the emotions around the thing that I don't want to deal with. That's where you start with the, okay, why am I so focused on this when this is where I need to be? When you are well, you can help other people. But a lot of times we deflect to other people because it's difficult for us to deal with the thing that's causing us trouble. So that's where I definitely say so. So I say all of that to say, I hope I answered your question. Yes, we can go to the next one. So we have endings. Let go to gain. Write that down. Let go to gain. Let go to gain. You start with the end in mind. Then we have the neutral zone. This is the hard part. This neutral zone is not meant, it's like a moratorium. I'm moving forward. This is where the everyday stuff that's happening, you're not sure what it looks like. This is where you're going through the rigmarole of the transition. It's taking too long. I don't understand it. I don't accept it. I just want things to go back to the way they used to be. The neutral zone is where the growth occurs. This is where you learn about yourself. This is where you practice the acceptance of the fact that things are changing for you. This is where you learn your strength, where your areas of growth opportunity are, where you can find your support system. This is the learning phase. This is where you become rooted and calm in the faith of knowing that, yeah, I don't know what it looks like, and I'm gonna be okay. That's this phase. That's the hardest thing, when you know it's coming, but you don't know when. In the neutral, it's in between. This is literally uncertainty personified. So you have to figure out what do I need to do to take care of myself, to prioritize my mental health as I am wanting and waiting and hoping and praying and wishing and planning for this thing to happen, but it just hasn't materialized yet. Who do I reach out to for support? My friends, a therapist, your pastor. You have options, but this is the part where you be still and grow, and you actively practice self-care and managing the process. You plan for things. You stop fighting it. This is where you're no longer willful. I'm not gonna try to put this square peg into this round hole. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna be willing and accepting of this process. The neutral zone is when you do that. You practice acceptance, radical acceptance every day, 50 times a day. This is where you grow. You have to surrender. And I say that as I laugh on the inside. as someone that struggles with surrender on a daily basis. And it's a constant dying to yourself and just surrendering and trusting, you know, for those that believe in God, praying and having faith. You know, if that's not where you are, then it's knowing that you can put things in place and make your plan actionable, but know that you have support as you do. Stop fighting. And again, I'm talking to myself. Stop fighting against the process. Go with the process. This is again a place of self-renewal. When you kind of let go of the stuff, right? We've ended that thing that's not working. So in this self-renewal process, it is seeking therapy if you need it. It is understanding what do you need in this moment. Please write this down, and I want you to ask yourself this every day. What do I need in this moment to be my best self? What do I need in this moment to be my best self? And give yourself that thing. Try not to say, I don't know. You're giving yourself permission to figure out, what do you need? Nobody else can give that to you. That is all you. This is an internal thing. What do I need in this moment to be my best self? Do I need connection? All right, let me reach out to somebody I trust. Do I need support? Do I need somebody to be understanding? Do I need someone to be non-judgmental? Do I need to sleep?
Yeah.
3 things that you can do to immediately improve your mental health. Get quality sleep, exercise, and eat nutritious meals. Sleep, exercise, eat well. Those are things that as mental health professionals, we help you modify immediately, and you will notice a change, and then you can do the other thing. So we can go to the next slide. The new beginning. We've ended that thing that we're just stuck on that makes it difficult to move forward. We are dealing with, now we're transitioning into the uncertainty of the neutral zone. And this is something that I didn't say. Being aware of your emotions and accepting them, especially in the neutral zone, is extremely important. Journaling on a daily basis, doing the feelings identification, accepting how you feel without judgment is going to help you to be able to transition in a healthy manner. And when you can do that, again, not be so triggered and all over the place, is how you know that you are growing through your process. Grow through, who can finish that? Oh, yes! And that too. Grow through what you go through. That's the point, right? So then we have the new beginning. In transition, we come to the beginning only at the end. We only come to the beginning when we choose to let go of something. So you have your ending, you have your neutral zone, your transition zone, and then you have your new beginning. Think about what your new beginning is right now. For some it's moving, for some it's a new job, for some it's a new baby. Congratulations. I mean, we all have new beginnings, so I want you to identify, like, where is my new beginning right now? For some, it's a heightened level of awareness. For some, it is better self-care. For some, it's a health journey. For some, it's dealing with trauma and deciding I'm finally going to go see a therapist, and that is okay. So when you come to the new beginning, you've decided, I'm ready. I am ready to do this thing. I am afraid. That's cool. But I'm gonna do what I need to do. I'm gonna identify my support. I'm gonna do it no matter what happens. Like Malcolm X says, by all means necessary. Right? And as the slide says, one of the most important signals of a new beginning is gonna be a faint intonation of something different. It feels different. It feels calmer. It feels assured. It feels right. That doesn't mean you won't second guess yourself. You've gone through the process. Because there will, so if people are used to doubting themselves,
If you don't trust your feelings, how are you gonna get there?
you work on trusting your feelings. You do the work. You first have to identify how you feel without denial. Yes, I am frustrated. Okay, what triggered my frustration? This thing triggered my frustration. Why is this thing still triggering my frustration? because I've not dealt with that particular thing. But then when you can get to the point where, okay, this thing is happening again and I notice it, but I'm frustrated, but I'm not 10, I'm a 4. So I'm not overwhelmed by it and know I can move through it. That is growth. That's how you do it. It first deals with acceptance of how you feel without judging it. Because sometimes people have told us, you don't need to cry. You should not be upset. Why are you mad? You have so much going for you. You know, other people really want to take ownership of how we should feel. That's the thing that frustrates me the most. Don't tell me how to feel, right? But we have to know, again, we own our feelings. We are in control of that process. And when people do that, oh, it's okay. Girl, don't cry. You all right? Thank you, but I'm going to cry because that's what I need to do for myself right now. It's not weakness. Acceptance and identification of how you feel is strong. It is strength. Vulnerability is what you need to go through this process. You cannot be stoic and unfeeling. Because to me that means you've dealt with some trauma that we might need to work on. And we have all dealt with some sort of trauma. All of us. We've all dealt with COVID. That's collective trauma. That's compounded trauma.
What happens if, in that example, you say, oh no, I'm really going through something difficult and I need to cry, and then that person gives you a really hard time about it, and then that snowballs into the fact of, because you want their acceptance, that you feel bad, and then you don't end up crying, you end up walking into your emotions.
I wonder who has the answer to that. Yeah.
Ooh,
Ooh, say that again. Say it louder. Listen, that's a poetry snap. That person has just demonstrated to you that they are no longer in a place to where they can be of benefit to you emotionally, and you say thank you, and you go about your way, and that individual might need to be placed in a different phase of your life or place in your life, and not for the emotional support that you need.
But what happens if they're your partner or your best friend? You can't just get rid of them.
Yes, you can.
You can tell them in no uncertain terms the effect that they're having on you, and if they don't care, then that tells you what you need to know about that relationship. If they do care, they will adapt.
So let me add to that. Thank you. Boundaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we learn how to communicate our needs and our feelings, if that person is open to hearing, you all might be able to grow together. But if they are staunch against you doing the best thing for yourself, then we have to make those difficult decisions. It might be time to end that individual's time in your life, and that's okay. But one of the things that makes it very difficult is people are afraid of change. Let's go to the next slide, because I have a lot. Transition is the way to personal development. I think I've said that a few times in a few different ways. But we'll definitely come back to that situation as a whole. That we can keep going. Okay, so I really want to do this. We'll have to save it. We'll have to save it because in the interest of time, if we can come back to it later, we definitely will. But this is a strategy, journaling, that is really going to be impactful. So I challenge everybody here, try it this week at least once or twice. Find you some music that you really feel, that really gets you. This is one of my favorite songs, In a Sentimental Mood, John Coltrane, Duke Ellington. If you work with me, then you know I play jazz all day. But really just kind of get into a centered space and write. I can send journal prompts if you want it. Some people will get the journal that I made. You'll be able to use that tool to assist you. But just write what comes up for you. If you have questions about anything in your life, write about it. You have written some things today. You can extend that learning. Just sit and write. Get in a centered, calm space and write. Whatever, don't judge what you write. It's not for anybody else, but we have so much that we shovel on the inside. We need to let it out. So that's a challenge that I have for you, and hopefully we have time we can come back to this. Okay, this is my transition. I'm probably gonna cry, but I don't even know if I have enough time because y'all know I like to talk. But so we talk about everybody has a journey or a transition, and my nieces call me TT. And this is my favorite niece, Naomi. I swear, if you didn't know she was my sister's kid, if you see us together, she looks like I popped her out of my own body. But she is my niece. This is my baby. And just to make a long story short, when my niece was born, it was literally the thing. Her birth was what saved my sister. Oh, sorry. My sister and my relationship. We were estranged for a long time. And I had to go back to therapy. I had to deal with a lot of trauma that I've experienced as an individual. So I had to let a whole lot of stuff go. A whole lot. I'm still working on letting some things go, right? So as I say this to you, I'm hoping that you understand that as a professional, I am not perfect. And the things that I'm sharing with you, I have had to deal with myself. But there was a time my therapist asked me, so what do you want to do? And I didn't know. I knew I wanted to meet this new human, but I knew that in order to do that, I had to forgive my parents, forgive my sister. I had to let things go. I had to decide. I am no longer going to be tethered to the pain that I've experienced. I am no longer going to be bound to the hurt. I can't bring it with me if I want to be a good presence in the life of this person. Like, I love this kid as if she was my own child. This is my little best friend. So having to make the decision to let go of so much that still comes up, and I still got to decide every day, okay, do I still want to bring that up or keep it there? But then I think of her. She's definitely one of my motivations, right? To do things differently. When I talk to her every day, TT, are you coming back to America? No, baby, TT's gonna stay in China for a little bit longer. But my sister and I's relationship has had the opportunity to be healed and flourish. We still have it out, but that's part of a sisterly bond. But she was my motivation for being able to choose a transition. So I want you right now to think, what are the 3 things that motivate you to change? People, places, situations. If you have more than 3, great. If you don't, that's fine too. What can be your source of motivation? What is the thing that's going to keep you going when it gets very difficult? What will be the thing that helps you to know that this is right when it's working out? What helps push you? What motivates you? We can go to the next slide. So just keep going. So I think we really talked about this. These are the things, some of the things that make transition challenging. We're afraid of change. Change is scary. But if you want to grow, you got to change. Socrates says, one of my favorite quotes, I can never remember it verbatim. Who can read it for me?
Secret of change is focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new.
Socrates. Change is constant. Don't fear it, embrace it. And then if the fear pops up, which it will, you identify, what is it about this that frightens me and how do I deal with it? Who can I reach out to for support as I manage this fear? Uncertainty, that's kind of all intertwined, right? A history of trauma. Individuals that have experienced trauma really like consistency and certainty and to know. And unfortunately, that's not the way life is. So if you want to work on making progress, you will have to deal with the trauma that you've experienced. And that can be COVID. Like, again, I'm from Texas, we've had hurricanes. There have been multiple deaths of people that I know and love since I've been back here. There's just been a lot, right? And to have all of that happen so quickly is a lot. So, as I've asked, and I've said before, what do you need right now to be your best self? If that does include speaking to a professional, give yourself that. There are lots of people in the city that can help meet that need for you. You deserve it. Write that down. I deserve it. I deserve it. Whether you believe it or not right now, I deserve it. I hope you've noticed that you've written a few affirmations as we've gone through this. Limited support or lack of support. That's one thing I've noticed personally and professionally. Moving to Beijing, so many people were quite disconnected. So you have to be quite intentional about building your chosen family. That's very important. We are not meant to exist in this life alone. So it's identifying, what do I need? Who are the people that I need to help me feel like my best self, that are not necessarily going to be yes people, but they will check me when I'm wrong, but they will love me unconditionally. They will support me and be there for me, and I can do vice versa. They will be there in my time of need. Who are those individuals? They may look like you, they may not. And in this city, they probably won't, and that's okay. It's probably the best thing. So you figure out who those people are. I like that. You figure out who those people are for you, and you hold them dear. But you have to be what you seek. You have to be able to give what it is that you want from others. And a lot of it comes through healing and acceptance. Mental health challenges, feeling isolated. I think that we talked about ways in which to help heal the isolation. You have to be open to it, right? It starts with identifying, what do I need? Who can finish that sentence? What do I need to be my best self? So, if you aren't giving yourself what you need, which we all have been in that space, these are the things that can happen. We can deal with mental health decline. We are all one situation away from dealing with mental illness. And that means anxiety, depression. Some people struggle with OCD. Some people have diagnosis bipolar. When I say these things, I don't say that to stigmatize, because I have a diagnosis of anxiety. I've had it for years, and I still work through it, even as a professional. And to say that out loud, I'm sitting here on the inside screaming like, oh, don't do it. But you're talking about transparency and being authentic. That's the reality, right? You can live your best life and still manage your anxiety. And you can have depression and still be a good person. But there's treatment for all of this. So I want you to know that if you are in that space, what do you need right now to be your best self? That might be reaching out to a professional for support. I'm not going to read through these. You all can see them on the screen. One of the most important is if you are having thoughts of suicide, any suicidal ideation, thoughts of self-harm. I need you to seek help immediately. If you know someone that pops into your head as I say these things, I need you to reach out to them as soon as we finish. If you need to have a conversation with me after, you can do that. And I will provide the line for Lifeline. It's an anonymous line that you can reach out to speak to people. But it's really important that you are aware of the things that are coming up for you, and that we stay connected to one another. Because I know so many people that sit at home and are feeling isolated and alone and don't want to feel like a burden and don't want to reach out to people. So they are compounding those feelings of loneliness because of fear. So that's my challenge. Reach out to the people in your support system today just to say, hey, how are you? Is there anything that you need from me? How can I help? That's a challenge. That's another challenge that I have for you today, so that these things don't happen. But as a natural transition through life, they might happen, and that's okay. But it's not denying that you are going through these things. It's accepting, I am struggling right now, but I don't have to keep struggling. I can seek the support. I can reach out to people. You know, I can put myself first, put my needs first. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm going to give myself what I need right now and seek out help. You don't have to stay in this space. And making that decision is a transition in itself. And you deserve it. You deserve the support.
Is there like I feel like sometimes a situation is so bad that it's like warranted some of these reactions. Where is the like line between accepting like this is a really horrible situation and it's valid to like cry for one, versus like being excessively sad or what? Because I think that
sometimes just like really bad shit happens, and like it would almost be weird if some of these things didn't hurt. Does that make sense?
So I hear you, and oftentimes when we've experienced things, sometimes based off like our childhood, a lot of stuff stems from childhood. We might feel like, okay, we gotta go through pain in order to know that this is a real situation, and that's not true. That is what our brain tricks us into thinking. When we have been depressed and in situations for so long, or when we have been told, don't feel how you feel, you don't deserve to feel that, right? Then we tend to think, it's not that bad. I shouldn't be upset about it. We invalidate our own experience, which keeps us in that experience. We don't own, yeah, it is bad. I feel bad. I need help.
Yeah.
So the judgment, it's when the judgment comes that keeps us stuck. Nobody has to feel like this, but we do, right? Because we are afraid of what the world is going to say, or what that one person that has told us all our lives is going to think. Not knowing that we are empowered to do this for ourselves. Nobody else can do it. My mama can't do it, my sister cannot, my best friend, my husband, my wife, they are not in charge of my healing. And I want you to hear, there have been things that may have happened to you in your life, presently, currently, in the past, that we don't necessarily deserve, but our healing is our responsibility. We can't change some of the things that have occurred to us. Nobody deserves to be mistreated, period, right? But when it comes to a new level of learning as you transition, you have to own the healing process, regardless of other people are happy about it. I know we had a question that came up earlier. If I make this decision for myself and other people's ripple effect isn't one that is good, we have to sit with that and know that if this is what I need to be my best self, I have to do it. If I intend to thrive in this life, if I want my mental health to be in a good space, if I want to do and be to the world what I'm expected, what I want to be, not even expected. We get in the way of giving the world what it is that we have to give because we get stuck and mired in trauma and hurt, which is all valid. But at some point when we have a level of awakening, when we can accept that these things have happened and we are not damaged because of it, we can move into healing spaces. It will hurt. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It hurts. But hurt dissipates over time after you keep working the process.
Yes. I guess. Yeah.
We can talk about it later. All right, next slide. I'm trying. All right, what does it look like to prioritize your mental health? This is a good part. Well, I think all this is a good part. Acknowledging, as I've said, without judgment, that you feel the way you feel. Feel all your feelings. Here's another affirmation. I will feel all of my feelings today without judgment. Please write that down. Put it in your voice note. I will feel all of my feelings today without judgment. So if that critic in your head, mine sounds like my deceased grandmother, tells you, stop crying, you don't need to cry. Yes, I do. I need to let it go. I'm gonna cry right now. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna ugly cry. And then I'm gonna feel better. If that critic in your head is like, you don't deserve to feel better. Yes, I do. Because I have things to give to the world. There are people that are counting on me to be my best self. I can't be my best self to other people if I'm not willing to be my best self for me. You deserve it.
I have a question. What if you're feeling all those feelings and you still need to go to work? And you're trying to feel all those feelings, but you'd be better at managing feeling all those feelings by yourself. But you have to go to work and you have to talk to people who are going to make those feelings worse. And you can't really let any of those feelings onto those people.
Right.
Because then you might lose your job.
True. The practicality of it. So, when I say I know that much better than you might think, it is, first off, not denying, but figuring out ways to be able to manage how you feel in the present moment. So if you notice that you're being triggered by something or someone that they say, okay, so I think that can we carry this conversation on another time? I need to take a break. Boundary setting. You find a safe space, be that your office or go take a walk, and you feel how you feel in that moment. If you need to worry, I give clients worry time. 5 o'clock in the afternoon, sometime after work, you got 15 minutes, worry about the stuff that you feel you just have to worry about, and then you have to move on, right? It is training yourself. First off, I notice that I'm reacting this way. You have to first off identify, what are the things that trigger this response in me, and why? What is it about this person, this place, this setting, that's setting off this emotion in me, without judgment? Acknowledge how you're feeling. Identify what the triggers are, and then you work on interventions that you can implement that's going to mitigate the negative responses. But the first is acceptance. You can't deal with something that you first haven't accepted as a problem, right? So you figure out ways with this situation professionally, how do I professionally communicate what I need in this moment, set my boundary, and go manage, not even manage, but go and feel how I feel so that I can release this tension that's set up in my body and come back and do what I need to do. It's really important to complete the stress cycle, right? We go through stress every day. So identifying what are some of those self-care practices that you can do towards the end of your day so that you can release and let go of the stuff that's happening throughout the day. If that's running, walking, talking, journaling, sleep on time, minimize your caffeine, stop drinking alcohol, figuring out what works for you.
If I may share one more time.
Go ahead.
I'll share an example where I tried to do that, but it could have blown up because maybe I don't have the nice words.
Yes.
I'm very direct. I like clarity. I like to understand. I don't like to have to assume because I've been bitten by that one already. So I had a friend who we went shopping and they were helping me to buy a coat for winter. I left my phone in a coat in a huge mall. Started freaking out, realized I was freaking out, and said to me, okay, calm down, try to figure out where it is. My friend, being a good friend, started to ask me questions.
Oh yeah,
Where
your
was the
brain's
last
not
place
even
you
working
were?
right there.
And my brain is like, I don't even remember what I said to her, but it was
Right.
like, stop talking.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, I'm going to explode if you ask me any questions. Please stop talking. Friend took me to a place I've never been before. Anybody who knows me knows I get lost very easily. So I dashed up the escalator, and then because she misinterpreted my reaction, she thought I was telling her to leave me alone, whatever. I needed her to take me back to places we've been to.
Right.
And I was upset, like, dude, I just lost my phone. My whole life is in that phone. Why aren't you hurrying up? Why aren't you hurrying up? What the hell?
Yeah, you were in
And
that.
in her head,
yeah.
it's like, okay, you need a moment. I'm going to give you a moment. So we had to have a good 30-minute conversation after I come home about that one thing of me going, I'm trying not to explode. I can feel it coming on. Just don't talk to me. Just hang on. Just you know. So my thing is, I think, and some of my friends have heard me. I'm at the 12-step program. You know, the Alcoholics Anonymous. Hi, my name is Claudine. I'm an alcoholic. I'm not an alcoholic, but that's how I view it.
Right, I hear you.
I'm at the awareness stage where I'm trying to build that awareness about how I respond to things, but I'm not. I don't know. I don't have the tools to deal with it past that. So I realized I was getting upset, and I did try to mitigate it, but I almost lost a friend in the process.
So one, thank you for sharing, and two, congratulations, because you sound pretty self-aware. And I don't know if you know that.
No, I don't know that. Thank you.
No, you sound very self-aware of the fact that I can't hear anything you say right now. I flip my lid, like the parts of my brain that need to connect for me to function aren't there right now, and I need to relax. I need to breathe. And so one thing that I think makes it difficult is people are like, relax, relax, relax. Well, if I knew what to do, I'd do that. So be more specific. Breathe. Right? Close your eyes and breathe. Sit down and be still. It sounds as if you communicated what you need. I just, maybe not in the most empathetic of manner, but I don't believe that's the spaces you were in at that moment, and any good friend would see that, right? And hopefully not take that personally. But sit down and breathe and take a moment just so that you can gather yourself, so that you can get into what we call the calming space, so that you can hear and then make decisions. Our prefrontal cortex does not work when we are overly excited, right? So you have to give yourself time to come back down from the thing that has overwhelmed you. So you've done a good thing. That 30-minute talk is good, and you've had the opportunity to communicate what you need and what you wanted in that space. And sometimes we need to, it's beneficial for us to learn more effective ways of communicating. If you've ever heard of I statements, those are ways in which to share your authentic feeling and attach it to the situation.
What statements?
I statements. It's I feel emotion, and then you state why. And I can share more information on that a later time. But I don't hear the problem as a professional in what you just said. And then I think maybe you're more worried about the after effects. Yes, if you notice that people are moving mad and acting funny, it's, hey, you okay? Do you want to talk about it? A conversation will clear up just about anything, an honest one, right? And not, it's seeking to understand instead of respond. That's the most important part. And if you're open to the honesty, let people share how they feel, and don't take it personal. And then you figure out collectively, how do we move forward? Do we want to move forward as a we?
Final question so you can move on. What if you want to have that conversation to deal with an issue, and the person you're trying to get that conversation with is like, you talk too much, I don't got time for this. Then what do you do?
I'm wondering, what did you do? Because I think you know the answer.
I think to pull an example, I think I just ended the conversation, but it didn't solve my problem. Because
it doesn't sound like it was your problem, though.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
You're searching for something that someone's not in a space to give you at that moment. It may not be. So there has to be a time where we kind of accept, if this is the reality, then maybe this friendship has run its course. That's that ending to move into a new space.
Okay.
That's not easy all the time. If you've done everything you can, we do not have control over how people perceive it or respond to it. But you knowing that I've done what I need to do so that we can kind of clear the air, so you can know how much I care, it will benefit you to sit well in knowing that I've provided the opportunity. I deserve the same thing back. And a lot of times we have to like figure out if these are the things that I need to feel safe and secure and happy in a friendship relationship, and this is what I'm getting, it's clear. Maybe this is not the one that's aligned for me right now. And then we have to make a decision. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm not gonna read through all this. I've really said it throughout the entire presentation. One of the most important parts is focus on what you can control. Focus on what you can control and do something about that. And learn how to accept the things that are outside of your control. If you can change it, do something about it. If not, you have to change your attitude about it. Maya Angelou. Radical acceptance. Write those words down. Radical acceptance. Being willing and not willful. We can move on. I'm trying to be top of this time.
What's the meaning? Be willing.
So with radical acceptance, it means that you're willing, right? You're open to the process.
Yeah.
Be willing, not willful, obstinate. Intentionally doing stuff that you know is not gonna work. That's willful. I know it's not gonna work. I'm doing it anyway because that's what I want to do.
Okay.
Right? You're completely doing the thing. You're setting yourself back. You're making it harder. You're making healing more difficult when you're willful, full of this is what I want, which is fine, but you're not gonna get the outcome that you want unless you're willing to let go and accept the reality. So prioritize self-care. If you know me, you know I am all about self-care. If you follow me on WeChat or any other platform, self-care. And that does not mean you gotta go spend 1,000 RB in the city, but that does mean that you need to make time to identify what you need in this moment to be your best self and give yourself that. Maybe that is connecting with a friend. Maybe that is disconnecting from a friend. Maybe that's attending church. Maybe that is reading. Maybe that is sleeping 7 to 9 hours every night, hydrating, go take a run or a walk. The canal around here is beautiful. Maybe that's going to the, museum. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's meditating. Maybe it is reciting affirmations every day to help you rebuild your self-esteem. Maybe it's going to therapy, which I think everybody should go to therapy. And I'm a therapist that has a therapist, as I say that. Maybe it's preparing for the anticipated transition that you know is about to happen. Maybe it's figuring out how to deal with the emotions around the transition you're currently in, acceptance. Self-care can be so many things, but it's identifying what do I need and what are the resources for me to do that. Keep moving forward. Okay, if you need mental health support, these are some individuals that you can reach out to. You want to make sure that they are licensed professionals. We have psychologists, we have psychiatrists. A psychiatrist is the only professional that can prescribe medication if you need that. And if you do need medication, it is okay. There is no fault of your own if that is a part of your treatment strategy. And if you are someone or you know someone that is very spiritual, please let them know it is okay to love the Lord and go to therapy too. Yes. Right? I'm just saying. A licensed professional counselor, that's what I am. You have licensed clinical social workers. And this is the QR code for Lifeline, which is an anonymous line that you can contact here in Shanghai and Beijing. The most important part for this is where you can join support groups. They have support groups throughout the city. You do not have to endure anything that you are experiencing alone. There is help. Listen, you can be having the best life and still go to therapy. You don't have to be in crisis to seek mental health support. Maybe you need help on figuring out what are the steps that I need to take to prepare for this move. Maybe I need to learn how to better communicate my emotions. Or maybe I need to learn how to set boundaries. You can do that in therapy. Your friends are not your therapist. Your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your cousin, they are not your therapist. Full stop. You have support. We can go to the next slide. All right, these are, and we talked about it, coping strategies that you can implement. We've done the breathing. You are doing journaling throughout the entire presentation. Grounding is a really good one where you're really just getting centered in the space and you're identifying things around you to kind of help redirect your focus from the thing you're triggered by to get more centered in your body. I'm not going to read through all of them. You see I have setting boundaries, right? Therapy, healthy social connection, something we call like progressive muscle relaxation. It's just a series of constricting certain body parts, muscles in your body to release them. It's helping you to realize that feeling of release and control. Soothing music. There's lots of things you can do. Obviously, this list is not exhaustive. So what I'd like you to do is create a list, start one now. What are the things that I can do to help me better cope with the things that happen in life? What are some strategies that I can implement? Not shopping. Because then you have to pay for it later. We can go to the next slide. I'm almost finished. Woo, this is what I was doing. Oh, okay. I really hope we can do this. Keep going. I really want to do this guided visualization. I just need to finish through it first. Yeah, we've talked about this. So seeking appropriate support, challenge. Look at stress as a challenge. It's not a threat. Stress is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. We all have stress in our lives. It is the perception of stress that makes it difficult. Appreciating the growth process for what it is. It's not this thing that's keeping you back from the life you are seeking to live. It's the very thing that's going to help you to do that. The process of growth. It's going to help take you to the next step. The process of, psychological growth as you learn more about yourself, accept more things about yourself that help you to empower yourself. Focusing on the positive aspects of transition. And when I say that, that doesn't mean that negative things won't happen. But when it comes to neuroplasticity, the thing that you focus on is the thing that grows. It's like we say, you know, you can't see the forest from the tree. If you keep focusing on that one negative aspect of the situation, it's going to balloon, and then it's not a reality-based perspective. So it's looking at all aspects of the thing, and you look at the things that are working so that you can motivate yourself to keep going through that process and transition. Seeking help, as I said before. When you think about life transitions, I'm wondering if you can answer this. Have some of the most important moments in your life come through transitions?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I literally think about it, some of the best things that have happened to me, some of the best growth I've experienced have come through some of the most difficult situations. So it's shifting the perspective. It's an opportunity. Yes, it might suck. But it's an opportunity. And an opportunity for what? That's up to you. Nobody else can determine that. Remembering your successes. It's the breadcrumbs, baby steps. They add up to really big accomplishments. So I encourage you, there's this strategy called make a credit list. Write that down, credit list. I want you to do this tonight. Write down the accomplishments that you've been able to experience and amass this year. Make yourself a credit list. What have I been able to accomplish in 2020, 2021? And you'll see that there's so much more that you've been able to do than you haven't been able to do. But we don't see that a lot of times because we're not intentional about looking for it. Oh yeah, this is my favorite. Remember that the only constant is change. Embrace it, or you will get left behind. Because the world is going to keep changing. You want to change with it? And we're almost there. All right, what comes to mind when you see this picture?
Retirement.
Serenity.
Okay, serenity. Right. Green. Oh, it's so green.
Holiday.
Okay.
Confusion.
Okay. One path looks very clear, and the other one looks stunted, right? So there's literally no right or wrong answer, but it's really meant to depict you have a choice to make.
The road less traveled, John Donne.
I always like to say I choose this one.
It's whatever it means to you, but it definitely means you have a choice to make. Which path are you going to choose? Oh, you're going to forge your own. We're going to go left or right. We're going to go. Okay. That's right. Hey, be a trailblazer. Go for it. I love it. Keep going. Ramadan. Oh, God. Okay, I can't forget about this, y'all. So can we just count like all the questions that have happened? Okay. I'm so grateful for y'all's engagement for sure. Choose your thinking strategies. This is what, like, the thought process helps the process. So one of the things is we're not looking to eliminate negative thinking. Because the more I tell you, don't think about that, what are you going to do? You're literally going to think about it, right? And it's going to strengthen that negative connection, which makes that thought process harder to break. So we're not looking to erase, we're looking to replace. You shift your thinking. So whenever the thoughts pop up, ooh, I'm so worried, I'm doubtful, I'm nervous, okay? I noticed that I'm feeling worried about this presentation, and then you shift your thinking to something positive. But I'm prepared and I'm passionate, so I know I'm gonna do a good job, right? I love this topic, I'm gonna go give it my all, I'm gonna be all right. So what you literally do in that moment is you're changing your brain and you're identifying different neural pathways for positive thinking, which is going to influence your mood. So when you think like, oh my God, I'm so scared, what does that bring? What kind of feelings come up when you do that? Yeah, you feel down. Does that make you want to jump and scream and be like, yes?
Just want to hide.
You want to hide, you want to withdraw. But then when you're like, yeah, I'm a little nervous, but I got it, I'm prepared. I am prepared. I know people that love me, they're gonna be there. You know, folks are gonna be engaged. How does that feel? It feels exciting, right? And that's all anxiety is excitement, right? You really want to do well. So it's looking at your perspective. Choose your thinking. We're not looking to erase, we're replacing it. So whenever a negative thought pops in your mind, replace it with two positive. Two alternate thoughts. That's a strategy. Whenever that automatic negative thought pops, you stop. I literally say, stop, Kendall. And I shift my thinking. That's something immediate that you can do. We're not looking to erase, we're looking to replace. When you begin to worry incessantly about something, you're on the worry wheel. How do you know that you're worried about things? Like how does that physically manifest in your body?
Sweating.
Oh yes, you start to sweat, you get nauseous,
My neck.
Shakes.
okay?
Stress here.
Oh, your neck, all right, that right there. When you notice that you're worried, you're ruminating, you're like on the hamster wheel, stop and make a plan about it. You stop worrying, all right, let me stop worrying about this, let me plan on how to deal with it. So when you notice that you're overly worried about something, pause and start to plan on how to mitigate that thing. And if you just need to worry, give yourself some worry time. I say 5:30 in the afternoon, give yourself 10 minutes and just worry.
For me, maybe I worry for 1 week.
All right, so if you can worry for 5 days, that's better. And you'll notice the improvement. But then you identify, okay, so what did I do to worry less? And not even worry less, what did I do to be more confident? Do more of the things that worked and less of the things that cause worry. So you're identifying what's working, what's calming the anxiety, do more of that. A lot of it is in our brain, right? And so that's a whole nother conversation, but. So it's progress. We're not looking for the elimination of it because that's not possible. We're looking for the reduction. Reframe your thinking. So this is important. What's an alternate thought to your thinking? Our feelings are not facts. And when you notice that you're thinking and planning out of fear, minimize that. You want to ask yourself, is this thing even true? Is there any evidence to support the stuff that I am fearful of or worried about? Has there ever been a time that I've actually successfully been able to accomplish this particular task? So when you can identify what you've done before, you can replicate that in the future. It's possible if you're open to it. Another one, again, is there evidence to support the thought, oh, I'm gonna fail? Okay, what's the evidence to support it? Did you practice? Yeah. Did you prepare? Yes. Is this what you like to talk about? Of course. So what is the likelihood that you're gonna fail? Not likely, but what if you do fail? What does failure even look like or mean? Failure is the first attempt in learning. There's not anyone in this world that's successful that hasn't failed over and over and over again. It's that they are resilient to a hilt and they can get back up. They don't doubt themselves, or the doubt is not as overwhelming as the confidence, and then keep going. So then identify, like, who is a resilience mentor for yourself? Who is someone that you can research, look up to, talk to, that you've noticed you've dealt with adversity and you've been able to bounce back over and over again? That's a question. Who is your resilience mentor going to be?
Yourself.
Okay. But when we're stuck and not trusting ourselves, who is someone that we can look to emulate a positive example?
I just shuffle through the deck of my own experiences.
Okay.
Oh, that time I was just so down and I bounced back.
I like that.
Worked well.
So make sure you add that to your credit list. Those times that you've been able to accomplish specific tasks.
But
Okay.
most of the times, it's for me, when I taste success, it always comes with pain. Like, it's never like, okay, to get this, I have to do that and move on. So it's like, it's never 100% happy. It's always like 20% sadness and 80% happiness.
Is that a decision that you're making?
That you have to.
Do we?
Uh,
Does success have to come with pain? Or is that what you're choosing? Is that what you're accepting?
When I went for it, like when I applied for it, I was not sure I'd get through. I was like just go with it. Let's see what happens, where I stand. And it happened. And I was like, wow, it happened. And now I have to go there, leave everything behind, and leave everything behind.
So then you're in the transition phase of realizing that in order for me to reach this goal, I have to relinquish something. But that doesn't mean that it has to be completely excised from your life. The meaning is going to be whatever you make it. And if it is painful, it is processing that pain, right? The pain doesn't have to be constant, but it's accepting it and being able to work through it. But if you continue to see that success has to come with pain, it always will. The fork in the road. Choose your thinking. Which path are you going to take? You have full control and power on how to look at it. That is all up to you. So you remind yourself, okay, I'm empowered to see this situation differently. And process and accept the emotions that come up with it and not deny or shovel it down. That's really important. Seek support. These are things that we talk about in therapy. I know a lot of people are afraid of success. I've been that person. Right? And imposter syndrome is big. Do I even deserve this? Yes. Yeah. So it's a lot that you contend with, but it's a battle of the mind for sure. Oh my God. Sorry. So choose affirming thoughts. You've written lots of affirmations today. Hopefully you'll continue to do so. Let's keep going. I promise you. Okay, yeah, I'm almost done. My favorite number is 7. My mom says it's the number of completion. These are 7 final reminders for you. It's imperative, one of my favorite words, to prioritize your mental health. If you don't do anything else, take care of your mental health. Transitions are a part of life and they provide opportunities for growth. They are the breeding ground for growth. That's what transitions are. Practice acceptance. It's going to help you to be able to deal with the things that are happening. And remember, feel all of your what? Feel all your feelings. Do not deny how you feel and accept them without judgment. You have the power to choose what you focus on. I want you to, if you're struggling, just remember the fork in the road. All right, I can choose how to respond to this situation. You're not alone. Seek support. Be kind to yourself. Practice self-compassion. As you transition through this journey. And lastly, change is inevitable, but growth is optional. So which do you choose? And that's literally it though. I wish we could have done the guided meditation, but luckily we've had questions throughout the entire process. We are just 3 minutes shy of 2 hours. So thank you all so much. This was so much fun.
Yeah, okay, first of all, Kendall, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Not only for sharing your knowledge, your expertise, your wisdom, but for demonstrating what you're encouraging us in your own vulnerability and bravery. Can we give her another round of applause? And also generosity, like just to share your contact, like that's incredibly generous. Also, another generous act that Kendall has done is share with us an awesome resource. So this is, do you want to say a few words about it?
Of course. So if you know me, you know I'm creative. I like to create stuff. So I wanted to create a supplemental journal. Obviously writing is great to accompany this presentation. So I made a few of these for individuals to be able to just process like the things that are coming up for you. Write down your ways of coping. Everything we've talked about is literally, you can use this to extend the learning, to give yourself what you need in this moment. And so hopefully if you get this, you'll use it. And if you want more, just let me know.
Yeah. So we're gonna just randomly draw out 8 names for these journals. Yeah. So could I get a volunteer to come and draw 8 names? Come on now, don't be shy. Come on, Shantae, help me out. Now only pick names of people that are actually going to make use. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, the responsibility.
Okay. Denisha. Denisha.
Oh, don't know? No
Lydia?
Oh, she's not here.
Oh, okay.
All right, read
Then
her
you
up.
will put it there. Rachel Stanley? Melissa Teague. Okay.
Yay!
Ellie Whitmore.
Hey.
And Katie. Is this the Katie?
Yay!
How many of that? Two
Two more.
All right. Gloria
Hey.
and Gillian.
And throughout the presentation, you heard Kendall reference these two books, Boundaries and Transitions. We have one copy of each to give away, so final two names. We'll do Boundaries first. All right?
Becker?
Becca.
Santa Claus. And
Transition.
George Lynn.
Thank you guys so much for coming out. So today this has been hosted by City Church. One of the things that we believe is we believe God loves you. And we wanted to host this, even though this was a secular event. Usually we're praying, we're talking about the Bible, but we believe that God loves you and He wants you to live your best life. And so that's why we invited Kendall to share from just her learning and her experience. But we also want you to be aware that there's a community here. And we respect, you have different beliefs, that's totally fine. If you're interested to learn a little bit more about this thing called Christianity, now depending on where we come from, just me saying those words might trigger you. And I want to acknowledge that, okay? And that there's been some real hurt. But for those that are interested and are open, we would love to have you. So Sunday mornings, we have services in this very space, also Thursday evenings. We'll drop just a quick line about both of those in the WeChat group and hope to see some of you there. Otherwise, go and be blessed and live your best life. Feel free to make use of the space. We have probably 10 or 15 minutes to mingle and hang out. Thank you guys. Can we give one more round of applause to Kendall and everyone?